With the new Maximum Guitar Works truss rod and carbon fiber channel routing system, you may never mess up another neck. I really got something exciting to show you guys. I had a request. There's always a backstory, right? I had a request from a gentleman named Jeff for a template system to do the carbon fiber rods and the truss rod with a handheld router as opposed to a router table. And it's not because he didn't own a router table, it's because his preference is to route from the top down. And so I thought about that and I ended up designing a solution for him. I thought about it some more. I did a couple minor tweaks to it, and I believe I've got a system that if you use correctly, according to my video demonstrations, you may never mess up another neck. And that's a bold statement. I'm almost making it totally mistake-proof if you're using my template system. And I want you to take a look at this close up. It is a two-template system. You have template number 1 and template number 2. Template number 1 is for the carbon fiber channels, and template number 2 is for the truss rod channel. All of these are using my alignment, hardened steel alignment drill bushing system, and it integrates perfectly with my other templates that I have for neck and fretboard routing. And I'm going to take you through and show you exactly how simple this really is. All right, we're going to walk through it, but here's what you need. All right, you need both templates, and both templates come with the cutout slot that came from the template. These are going to be used to create custom stops for your routing purposes, and you'll see what I'm doing here, but this is it. If you run out of this, and you haven't saved all the little cut-off pieces that you use for stops, then it's just a 5/8 inch wide strip of wood, no more than 3/8 of an inch thick. So it's pretty simple to accommodate this, even if you don't have these, but I'm including them because they're cut-offs directly from the templates themselves, and you know what we hate more than wasting things? It's our kids wasting things. So don't be that kid. No, seriously, it makes perfect sense. And I'm going to walk you through the process. The only other things you need is a handheld router. And guess what? It doesn't have to be a Bosch Colt. It could be your Festool router. It could be your battery-operated Milwaukee router. It doesn't matter. Only provision has to be provided is it has to be able to accept a bushing guide, in which case what we're going to design this for is a 5/8 inch bushing guide. Okay, so you have your 5/8 inch standard bushing guide that's compatible with your routing system, then you have pretty much everything you need to get this neck ready to go for your profiling. In this particular case, I'm going to be using 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch carbon fiber rods, and I'm going to be using a truss rod, a stainless steel truss rod that has a 1/4 inch width to it. Those are the things that I need to know in order to make this successful. Obviously, since I'm using a 1/4 inch, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch upcut router bit. If you were using carbon fiber or a truss rod that is a different dimension, like the StewMac Hot Rod series is 7/32, then you will need a 7/32 router bit. All right, in previous videos, I talked about the process of getting a center line on your neck blank and really kind of staying true to that center line with all of these processes. I have just eliminated that step, and that is why, if you're using my entire system with this new truss rod and carbon fiber template guide system, you may never make another mistake. It's really simple. I've got my neck blank right here, okay, and this was one with my headstock, but it could be the Telly, it could be the Strat, it could be a custom one that you have me make for you. And all of these has these hardened steel drilling bushings to create alignment points. All right? Now, if I take this template and it fits on this piece of wood, no matter how off it is, once I establish this alignment point, that alignment point will now stay with this entire template system. That's how critical it is. If you have a knot in a neck that you need to avoid, you can now put your template on here and shift this up, down, left, right, any way that you need to avoid the bad spot of that neck blank. Or if you have a grain that maybe is slightly kind of going off to the side and you want it directly parallel with the neck, you can rotate that neck blank as long as that neck blank fits on top of that blank, and you can see the entire neck blank. It is going to work, and it is going to work flawlessly. Now, I don't think it's a bad thing to still maintain center lines and such like that, but the point here is you don't even need to care. I surfaced this board, and then I thickness it, okay? And I did not touch the edges. I did not square up the edges one bit because you know what? It doesn't matter. Okay, I've put a few pieces of double stick tape on the back of my neck template. And with that, I will place this with no center line drawn on here whatsoever. No scale left to right, where the nut is, where my swoop is going to be. I haven't done any of that mapping out whatsoever. And all I'm going to do is now place this somewhere on this neck that seems to be appropriate. So I'm just going to center it. I mean, it looks fine just the way it is. And I'm going to make sure that tape is stuck down. Now I'm going to go to the drill press and I'm going to drill and basically initiate the alignment of this piece of wood. Okay, I'm going to drill 1/8 inch alignment pin holes in these 4 positions. All right, now that those are set, this template is done until we're going to cut the profile out later. All right, now very important, we have template 1 and template 2. Template 2 is the truss rod channel. We want to start with template 1. All right, with template 1, it's going to be doing the carbon fiber channel. Now, if you are not going to use carbon fiber rods, still use template 1 because what we're going to do is initiate the drilling of additional alignment pins on the far ends of this piece of wood. Now, I don't need tape to necessarily hold the template in place because the pins are going to do that. But since we're going to be routing very precise channels, I'm going to use a little bit, 3 pieces on each side, just small 1-inch pieces of double stick tape. And what that will do is just ensure that if I apply too much pressure, I'm not flexing the acrylic outward. It's a safety precaution that's probably not necessary, but until proven otherwise, I'd rather take the safety precautions. If I feel like my technique is such where I don't need it, then I won't. All right, now at this point, I'm going to actually take a couple pieces of the 1/8 inch dowel rod, and I'm going to insert those into these hardened steel drilling bushings. And if you'll notice on this template number 1, I do not have the bushings up on the top sides. I just have them on the lower half, and then I've also got 2 centerline ones on the far 2 edges. And the reason that I'm doing that is so that I can route out the carbon fiber rods that are offset from the center. Now, what this allows me to do is place it perfectly in those alignment pin holes that I just drilled and press straight down. Okay? That gives me a 2-point alignment system, but it's going to create a 4-point alignment system so that my alignment points will transfer from one template to the next template. And you'll see what I'm talking about. But I'm going to drill these 2 so that I have those for the next step. All right, now I've got these drilled. I'm just going to lop off the extra amount, and I might as well insert these. Little extra alignment pin, fortification here never hurt anybody. That's where we're at. Now we are perfectly set to route out our 1/4 inch carbon fiber channel for this side. Now the important thing to know is where my carbon fiber channels are going to start and stop. So I'm just going to lay them inside here. It doesn't matter if they're centered in this channel at this point. I just want them to be mapped out, and I'm going to put it just short of my alignment pin hole for my neck, and this side ends up being just short of the alignment pin in the back, but it could certainly extend further because they're not going to intersect with the alignment pins on the back side. On the front side, depending upon the size of your carbon fiber channel, it could intersect with that alignment pin hole. So I just stop it right there, which is midway through the first fret area. So in this case, we will take our 5/8 inch bushing that will be riding in here, and we want that to basically just clear the bushing on my pencil line, and that way the router bit 1/4 inch, which will be smaller obviously inside, has a chance to go all the way up to that line. So what I'm going to do is take some of my acrylic cutout from that slot, and I'm going to just chop it with a saw, and I'm going to place it. Now it doesn't have to be the full length because we're going to double stick tape this in place, and that'll be plenty secure enough to provide a stop for the travel of the router. If I only had an inch or so at the end, then I might make it the full inch so it bumps up against. But in this case, I may make these 2 or 3 inches long, and then I'll position them right where they need to be, and that will be fine. So what I've just done is I've cut off 2 pieces of that acrylic fill block, and now I'm putting double stick tape on, and I'm going to place them inside of that channel about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch short of that line, so that the bushing guide has a chance to travel a little bit past the line so that the bit actually travels right up to the line. I think an 1/8 of an inch is going to be the magic sweet spot here. But we will find out in just a second, won't we? All right, so now I've got it clamped to the table so it's secure. I've got my stops in place on either side. I've got my router set up with a 1/4 inch bit and a 5/8 inch bushing guide. And I've got my depth stop set up to a perfect almost 7 millimeters. So a little over 1/4 inches deep for my 1/4 inch deep carbon fiber rod. Now I'm going to do the 1 channel, and I should be able to do it in about 1/8 inch passes, so 2 to 3 passes max I will have this done. Now we're going to remove the carbon fiber template, and we're also going to remove our stops. So here's the trick now. I'm putting tape on the top side of this template, and I'm going to flip it upside down, and what I'm going to create is a mirror image of what I just did. So I've got the base side carbon fiber rod. Now I'm shooting for the other one. Now here's the point. The point is this template number 1 only has the drilling bushings on one side. That is why I've got my pins at the end on center line, because now what I can do is I can flip this thing upside down with the alignment pins on the 2 center line ends. Now I can drill these last 2 alignment bushings if I needed to. However, since we used the neck template, the Maximum Guitar Works neck template with the bushings, and we already drilled those 4 holes, these 2 are here. Okay, so now I've got those 2 securely in place and the 2 outside ones securely in place. We have just created a quadraphonic alignment pin system. Is that right? I think I made that word up. Anyway, but we've got it aligned right where we need it to be, and now we can run the exact same carbon fiber channel as before, using the exact same stops as we used before. Okay, now my stops are going into the exact same place as before, same offset. Everything is secured with the pins or the double stick tape. I've got the same exact settings in my router still, my just over a 1/4 inch depth of cut, so there's nothing else I need to do other than just get it done. All right, now that we've got both sides of the carbon fiber done, we are going to release this from the double stick tape. All right, and remove the template, and then we're going to remove the stops. Now here's how basic it is. When I talk about number 1 being labeled on here, also are all the instructions to it. Use this template prior to the truss rod template. We talked about that already. Suggest reinforcement material no wider than a 1/4 inch. Here's the deal. The way that I set this up was for a maximum of 3/4 inches of stuff being routed out. Carbon fiber rods, truss rod combination. If you're using an 1/8 of an inch carbon fiber rods, then you can use a wider truss rod, or vice versa. Okay, so that's the way it's designed. Limit reinforcement length prior to the first fret alignment pin. Okay, very simple stuff there. Drill the holes. All right, it all says it right on these templates. Once we're done with template number 1, what I would highly suggest is that you take your carbon fiber rods, which you see right here, and I will show you a close-up. Insert those carbon fiber rods. Now what I would highly suggest is that you glue those in place before you go any further. That will allow you to have the maximum support and rigidity as we route for the truss rod. For the sake of time here, I'm going to go right to it. I've got those carbon fiber rods in, and it's a perfect fit. They are snug, they are tight, they are slightly recessed, and once I put the epoxy in to kind of fill any of the gaps around it, it is going to provide an extreme amount of rigidity to this guitar neck. Now what we want to figure out is the truss rod. In order to do this effectively, you may want to momentarily go back, or at least hold in place, your neck template and mark out where the nut line is going to be, where the end is going to be, whatever you need to know for whatever truss rod you're going to do. Now, I don't know what kind of truss rod I'm going to put into this neck when it's all said and done, so I'm going to limit the travel to just a little bit past the alignment pins on both sides, and that should kind of cover whether I'm going to do a headstock exit, or I'm going to do a slotted, or I'm going to do my spoke wheel style. This should cover me in either direction, but this is just for an example. There's even a Stratocaster style neck that is inscribed on these templates. I don't know if you can see it on that one. Take a look at this one that hasn't had the paper peeled off, and I think you'll be able to see the neck, how it's transcribed, or engraved, I should say, into that acrylic template. The alignment pins in my system here are designed for 25.5 inch scale, so any neck configuration within that 25.5 inch scale area is going to work fine. Now what you notice on the truss rod version of this template is you have the 2 center line points off of the neck area, out in front of the headstock and out behind the heel. And then you've got the 2 alignment pins that are available, but at the heel side, but on the first fret area you do not have those 2, because I made this template compatible with wider truss rods, so therefore there wasn't room for the drilling, the hardened steel drilling bushings there, but that's okay because we already have 3-4 alignment points. There's more than enough. So pick 2. I'll pick the one all the way out in front, and I'll make sure that's seated in there nicely, and then I'll take one of the 2 on the heel area, and I'll evenly press that down. Make sure all of the tape Again, the tape is just for rigidity of the center section. The pins are holding it in place. And now I will, just for safety, take and fill all 4 positions with the pins right there and flush cut all of them. So now we have a totally flush surface ready to do our truss rod channel. All we have to do is limit the travel. So I've already got it marked out. So I'm ready to limit the travel on this one. And then this one I'm going to have to cut a shorter piece because it's going further than what my carbon fiber channels are. So I'm going to cut a piece about 1 3/8 inches. Now I've got my stops in place. All I've got to do is reset my depth. My truss rod is the same 1/4 inches, so I don't even have to swap out the bit at this point. All I have to do is reset to 3/8 of an inch deep, and I'll go a hair over, which in millimeters is really close to 10 millimeters. And I will lock that in place. All right, and that will get my truss rod just ever so slightly below the surface once it's all set here. Now we are ready to route. Okay, we got right about 10 millimeters, just a hair over 10 millimeters. That's going to be perfectly fine for this part of the process. Now, if I didn't mention already, I'm using 3/8 inch thick for these templates as opposed to my standard 1/4 inch. And the reason why is I think the extra stability is going to be crucial for the accuracy of these channels. So they're a little bit more expensive. What we're looking at is a set of 2 of these templates that's going to be $100. It doesn't matter how you plan on terminating. If you're going to be drilling your access hole through the headstock like we showed in one of our previous Stratocaster style build videos, or if it's going to be terminating through the heel like a slotted truss rod or a spoke wheel like we showed in previous videos in our Telecaster series. Either one, you're going to need the straight channel in there. All right, and so now we've got that straight channel all the way that we need, and if we had that terminated the way we want, it was going to drop in and be the perfect depth, a little bit below the surface, and that is dead straight. Now, if we put this back in place, and let's say we just put a couple of these pins in just to hold it, and we trace our neck, now you can see it. Now if we purchased a fretboard template and used those same alignment pins to make sure that they were established on our fretboard, then this fretboard that you've completed would drop right down in place . And we have dead perfect alignment. Before gluing on the fretboard, you would profile cut this on a bandsaw, you would install the fretboard, and then you would flush cut to the fretboard that was already flush cut using the automatic alignment pin system of the Stratocaster style fretboard from Maximum Guitar Works. You see how all these things kind of work together. I've been a little amped up this episode. Okay, this is another Maximum Guitar Works product presentation, another jig, a template that we're offering. And I'm amped up because until Jeff mentioned that routing from the top would be desirable, can you make a template that would accomplish that for the truss rod and the carbon fiber rods like I show normally on a router table, I never even considered this as an option. And this is absolutely a fabulous way to do it. When you combine my alignment pin neck with these templates, with this fretboard template for the Strat style or the Tele style, when you combine those 2 sets together, you have got seriously a way that is going to be hard to mess up. Now, there still may be errors that happen along the way, and you may learn, but if you pay attention and you follow these directions that I just showed you here, you are going to get the exact same results as what I got. This is a perfect setup, ready for the profile cut and flush cutting, and then ready to move on to neck shaping and headstock shaping. It is really, really one of the most straightforward ways I have ever executed to accomplish this. You've got the two-piece, 3/8 inch thick template guide with hardened steel bushings guiding and making sure alignment stays absolutely perfect. You've got the cut-off pieces from the slot that are going to be used for our slot stop mechanism in there. And then if you combine that for $100 with $40 each for a fretboard template and a neck template of whatever headstock you want. You can get the Strat, you can get the Telly, you can get it totally custom. If you send me a file of what you want, I'll totally customize that headstock for you. And you're talking about $180 for this set that makes it almost bulletproof. You add the fret slotting auto alignment template system for cutting your frets slots if you're using anything from a saw system to a radial arm system to even the new one I just created for the StewMac miter box style system of fret slotting. You combine that for another $40 and you have got an incredible system. It is truly as foolproof of a system that I think I have ever used, and I thank you, Jeff, for giving me the idea of what to do, and hopefully this system works perfectly for you as it just did for me and anyone else who ever gets it in the future. I hope you just enjoy great success in your woodworking and enjoyment, and more importantly, safety in everything that you do. Until next time, remember, no matter what you do, start with excellence.